basically means a software source code publicly available on internet, and you can contribute to that software source code if you want. Okay, so let me explain. So like this is a GitHub repo, okay, or a source code of a software. Okay, so this is publicly available, like you can see that what is the code and other things, okay, and you can, if you want, you can also contribute to this code. Okay, so it is basically means open source software, okay, and why do open source contribution? So contributing to open source can provide several benefits, like skill development. By contributing open source, you will learn a lot of things: how a real world project or software works, and what type of issues can be there in a real world software. Okay, and networking. After joining this type of communities, you will definitely build good connection with other developers. Okay, and other thing like career advancement and personal satisfaction are there also. Okay, and making changes in a README file of a project is also a open source contribution. Okay, so mm, how can you start open source contribution? Okay, so there are several ways you can contribute to an open source project depending on your skill and interest. Some ways to contribute include reporting bugs and issues, writing documentations, contributing codes changes or new features, testing and reviewing changes, and helping with project management or community outreach. Okay, so if you have any doubt about open source contribution or open source, you can ask. Okay, so let's see the chat box if anyone having any doubt. So I think no one is having any doubt, so we can continue. Okay, so what is Git and GitHub? So Git and GitHub. So Git is a tool that is used for version control and also track and manage changes in code. And GitHub is an online platform for hosting and collaborating on Git repositories. Okay, so it can be a bit difficult to understand for you. So let me explain. So let's see how to use Git and GitHub. Okay, so um, I'm going to make a GitHub repo. Okay, so let me make a document here. Okay, so let me my okay. So this is the folder of my project, and I open in terminal, and I will initialize this folder as git repo. Okay, so after, before doing that, first of all we have to configure our git account here. Okay, so for doing that, we are having, so first of all you need to install git. Okay, so if you don't know how to install git, just go on Google and search git install. Okay, and a website will pop up, and from here you can download and install git. Okay, so after installing it, create a folder where you can want to save your pictures and your folders, and so first of all, after configuring your git account, you have to initialize this folder as a git repo. So for that you have to use a command git init. So git init. Okay, so initialized empty git repository in my this directory. Okay, so after this, let me open this folder in VS Code so that I can write some code. Hmm. Okay, so let me make a file. Dot file. So first file one Okay, so save this thing. Okay, so I saved the file in this folder, and now I want to push I want to push this file in my Git repo. So I have to, first of all, I need to take this file in a stage area. Because what is a stage area? So here, using this diagram, you can understand what is a stage area or a staging area. So first of all, in your working directory, there is a file. Then you git using git add, you take this file into staging area, and after committing that file goes into repository. Okay, so I will git add and my file name. So the file name is hello.py. Filter. Okay, and I can now commit this file. Okay, okay, so there is a changes to be committed new file hello.py. Okay, there is some error is happening. Just give me a minute. Because didn't get a status. Okay, so now get next minus m minus. Okay, so now any comment you want to add with this commit, like my first commit. Okay, okay, so this file is committed into our Git repository. Okay, so now after committing this file, um, if I want to, okay, so this file is now in my Git repo. Okay, so let me make a change to this file. Okay, so like trend. So let's save. Okay, so now look, if I give Git status. Okay, so here you can see that it is one file is modified, that is hello.py. Okay, so now I want to push my this line. Okay, so what I can do, so I have to take this file in my staging area, then I can commit this file. Okay, so for taking this file in staging area, I will add git add, and you can add file one by one by giving the file name, or you can type here git add minus f, so all files will be added to the staging area. Okay, so okay, I think some error is happening. Okay, so I forward this. Here I give common. This now the file is added to staging area. So now I can commit this file. Okay, so my commit. Okay, so now this file is also committed. But here the version control thing came. Okay, so if I want to go back to my previous commit, so what I can do, I just git log, it will show all my git commits. Okay, so there are my two git commits, and with every git commit a hash is generated. Okay, so if I want to go to my first commit, I will write type here git. Git checkout, and then the hash. Okay. So okay, so now you will be able to see that, see this. The, my next commit, my second commit is not there. Okay. So this is version control. Okay. I can go to my previous commit also. Okay. So this is basically uh, version control. Okay. And now there is other things like difference. Okay. So you can track the difference between your committed file and the file you are currently having. Okay, so for that you can type here git. So because if both files are same, so nothing is coming here. Let me add a new file. So here you can see a new file we have to add here. Okay, so okay, so let me make some changes in that file. So now here I can see that this is what is the difference between the committed file and the file I'm currently having. Okay, so here you can see this. Okay, so this is basically work of diff command. Okay, so so you can also delete a file from git like git rm. Rm means remove, and then the file name. Okay, so I want to remove the new file, so new dot py. Okay, so there is, I made changes in that file, so this for that is not working. First of all, I need to commit this. Okay, so this file is not in staging area, so first of all, I'll take this in staging area. So git and new dot py. So now I can commit. Then this file is committed. Now I have to remove this file. No, sorry. So, remove this file. Okay, so rm new file, and now here you can see that the new file is not there, it is deleted. Okay, so here you can see the new file is deleted. Okay, so this is the basics of git, and if any one of you having any doubts on git, you can ask in the chat box. Okay, so I think no one is having, no one of you having anything. Okay, so if you have any doubt about git, you can ask in the chat box. Okay. I think no one is having a doubt. Okay. So then we can continue. Okay, so next the concept of branch. So what is branch? In Git, a branch is a separate line of development that allows developer to work on different versions of the code base in parallel. Each branch represents a snapshot of the code base at particular point in the time. The changes made to one branch do not affect the other until they are merged together. Okay, so we'll now understand the concept of branch. Okay, so by default in Git we are in master branch. Okay, so let me create a new branch. So create branch. Okay, branch. So I create a development branch. Okay, okay. So now git pick out. Okay, so switch to dev branch. Okay, so let me make some new files in dev branch. Okay, so dev dot py. So and dev. So if I push git status, so you can see untracked file dev.py. Okay, so let me add this get minutes minutes also has to be added. Okay, so after this I will commit these changes, get commit minus n, then commit from dev, commit from dev branch. Okay, so let me iterate. Okay, so this thing is committed. Okay, so now this changes I made in dev branch. So what will happen when I go to my master branch? These changes will be not be there, will not be there. Okay, so let me go to my master branch. Okay, so get out master. Okay, so now you can see. So now you can see the file I made in dev branch is not there. Okay, so this is basically branch. So you can make a new when you are developing any software or working on any project, you can create a new branch and work on that after you think, yeah, this code is ready to be merged with master branch, then you can merge. Okay, so like now if I want to merge my dev branch with my master branch, what I will do, I will click merge. So all changes I made in dev branch will also be visible in master branch. Okay, so let me enter. Yes. Okay. So now you can see the dev file is here. Print I am dev branch. Okay. This thing I made in dev branch is now in master branch. Okay. So this is basically branches. So a diagram is there. You can understand it. So this is the master branch. You made a commit and then create another branch, and in that branch you create a commit and then merge it with the master branch. Okay. So this is the branch concept. Okay. So like it is the dev branch. You can think, assume this thing is the dev branch I made. Okay, so if you having any queries about branches, you can ask in the chat box.
Atanu, I'll keep an eye on the Q&A section also. I mean, I see that.
Yeah,
No, in the Q&A tab, uh, you might,
minute.
yes.
Okay, okay, okay. So am I audible properly?
Yes, yes, you are.
Yeah. Yeah, so Shaurya Shekhar asked why version control needed. So version control is because so think like, if while developing a software project, if we made any blunder, okay, after committing, we realize that we made a blunder. So what we can do, we can go to the previous version, like my previous commit. Okay, so that is the need of version control. So if you think you made any after you realize that you made a blunder in this new commit, you can go to your previous commit. That is basically the need of version control. And what why do you need different branches? Okay, so I explained that thing. Why do you need different branches? Because uh, you can do your development work like seamlessly with in the other branch. Okay, so I think it's there. Okay, so if anyone is having any query about branches or version control, you can ask, because I think no one is having any queries. Okay, so I explained branch, and now the version control. I explained version control, but here is the definition. Version control is software development, refers to practice of tracking and managing changes to source code and other software artifacts. It allows developers to collaborate, share, and maintain code over time, while also providing history of changes and a way to revert to previous versions if needed. It is an essential tool for managing complex projects. Okay, so if you are having any doubt about version control, ask. Okay, so why does it matter, version control? So version control is important in several reasons. First of all, collaboration. Okay, so like two people is working on a project. Okay, so what they can do, they make two different branches and they can work seamlessly. Okay, so that is where the feature of version control makes a very important takes a very important role. Okay, so tracking changes. So using version control, you can the system keeps a record of every changes made to the code base, providing history of who made changes, what changes were made, and when they were made. This can help with debugging and troubleshooting. Okay, so you can track the changes that you have made, and reverting changes, like if any blunder is made in this software development, you can go back to your previous commit. Then code review. Version control system allows for code reviews and feedback, which can improve code quality and maintainability. Okay, and backup and disaster. Version control system provides a backup of the code base, protecting against data loss due to hardware failure or other disasters. Okay, so let's see how you can create a GitHub repository and push your code to that repository. So here I am in my account. Okay, so let me create a new repository. Okay, so repositories, new repository. Okay, so like made this repository private and create repository. This is how simple creating a repository is. Okay, so here is the code is given that how you can push your code to this repo. So here I will push this code into this GitHub repo. So first of all, what git remote, I just copy this command and here. Okay, then this second command, and now the final command using which. Okay, so now the code is pushed into the repository. Okay, So now if I refresh this page, see the two files I made, that is here, and all commits are there. The 6 commit I made, all are there. Okay. Okay, so this is how you can push your code into a GitHub repository. And from here, you and anyone can download this code and work on that. Okay, so next, what is pull request? In GitHub, a pull request is a way for developers to propose changes to repositories and request that the changes be reviewed and merged into the main branch. Okay, so let me explain what is it. So I example this repository. So example in this software, I open this code and I think that the if I think that the this logic or this function can be written uh, more perfectly, or I can make a change in this code. So what I can do, I can fork this repository. Okay, so what is mean fork? Fork mean a clone of this project will be made into your GitHub account. Okay, so I can fork this. So let me fork. Okay, so create a fork. Okay, so I think fork from this repository, and here I okay, so if I want to make changes in this code, I will copy this link and so git command for cloning repository is git clone and the link. Okay, so I think I previously once cloned this repository, so I have to delete that. Okay, just give me a minute. Yeah. Okay, so now this will work. Yeah, cloning into my sequencing. So from a repository, I fork the code, and after forking the repository, I clone that into my local machine. Okay, so let me open the folder. Now I am into the image sequencing folder where I have cloned the GitHub project, and now I will open this folder with VS Code. Okay, so so let me make a change, like password will be my name. Okay, so just example, and I save this thing and then commit the change. So then first of all, I have to take all the files in, all the file, only the file that I made change, like image pass.py. Okay, in this file I made change, so I have to take this file into the staging area. So git add. Okay, so now I can commit the changes. Okay, so git commit -m image. Okay, so the change is made, and then I can push this code into my repository, the cloned where I cloned the repo. Okay, so let me push into my repository. So click push. Okay, so if I refresh this page and open image pass.py, and here you can see the change I made in the file is now pushed into Git. Then what I can do, so now I want to pull this code into the main repo from where I have forked this repository. So what I can do, I just go into my repository, and here from contribute I can open a pull request. So after opening this pull request, is the owner of this repository, team gravity, will get a notification that someone want to contribute in your code. So I can open a pull request. Okay, so here I can write all the things like what is the description, or what type of changes I made and other things, and then I can create a pull request. Yes, so one notification will be come into this repository that, okay, once. Okay, so here, see, my request is there. Okay, so this is how you can contribute to any repository. Okay, so
Yeah, other than that is maybe something you can do.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
GitHub link here and ask somebody from the audience to open a pull request.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Give me a minute. Okay, so I think this repository, I am not the admin of this repository. Okay, so I am, what I can do from my repositories. Okay, so this thing is publicly available, and you know, okay, so any one of you just go to this link and fork my repository, and then you can make any changes you if you want.
In fact, we encourage everyone to do the same. Please
Yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead and access this repository, open a pull request so you can understand what we're actually dealing with, and Atanu will guide you from there on.
yeah. So no one is. You can just go to the link and click on fork. Okay, so two forks are there. So okay, so just make any changes in that, and then submit a pull request. If you're facing any problem, just write in the chat box. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So here it is my GitHub profile. Okay, so it is customized. So how you can customize it? You have to create a repo and name the repo as your username. Okay, so by that and the readme file of that repo will be showed like this here. Okay, so if it is present, I will show you. That thing is not visible here, and here you can edit your profile and all the stuff. Okay, two people have forked this code. Just make a pull request so I can show you how it works. Okay, so they showed us how GitHub different from Git. Git is a version control tool, and GitHub is an online platform where we can host our repositories. Okay, so this thing I'm using in this terminal is Git, and this website I'm browsing is GitHub. That is basically the difference between both the things. Okay. Okay, for folks, for pro. Okay. Okay, so I think I can continue. Okay, so no pull request still. Okay, so I think I have to continue because no requests are there. Okay, so next, so it is a diagram. So how that for thing works. So
I
there
don't
is
know. I
main branch.
created a believe
Yeah, yeah.
the Vercel
Okay,
deployment is failing for some reason.
okay.
You can check. There is a one. There is a pull request there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So there is the pull request, and Just let me update it. Okay, so here I can see what changes Rishideep made. Rishideep, why I didn't able to take this in my code? Rishideep, I
Not from the
think.
repository. I just updated here right from GitHub.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
These of
we
actions.
we can continue. So it is a diagram basically that how this pull thing works. There is the main branch, then you there commit and then pull request created, then some security fixes, and then you merged finally. Okay, so you can ask your question about Git and GitHub. Okay, if you have any questions, just ask.
Ask your
I
questions,
think.
guys. Any if anybody has any questions, please ask it.
Okay, so I think no one is having queries. Okay, so we can move forward. So, how to find issues to work on? Okay, so there are several ways to find issues to work on. First of all, browse repositories. You can browse many repositories and then explore GitHub projects. You can explore projects on GitHub that are related to your area of interest, expertise, and check out their issues to find ones that match your skills. GitHub provides several tools for exploring projects, including Explore page and trending repositories. Then you can also participate in hackathons. GitHub organizes events such as hackathons and coding challenges, which are a great way to find issues to work on and connect with other developers. And then use third-party tools. There are several third-party tools that can help you find issues to work on GitHub, such as Code and IssueHub, and my favorite that is Good First Issue. Okay, so let me open this. Okay, so here see, you have to select your skill. Okay, so let me select Python, and the issues to work on are there. Okay, there's matplotlib, and okay, 3 issues are there, 10 issues are there, 2 issues are there. So using this website, you can easily find repositories to work on and contribute to repository. Okay, then okay, so what are some good habits while contributing? Here, so first of all, read the documentation. Before contributing to a project, it's important to read the project's documentation thoroughly. This will help you understand the project goal, understand and contribution guidelines. Start small. It's a good idea to start with small, simple tasks to get familiar with the project's code base and development process. This will help you gain confidence and build a positive relation with the project maintainer. Ask for help. Don't hesitate to ask for help if you get stuck or have questions. Most open source communities are welcoming and supportive and are happy to help new contributors. And follow the contribution guidelines. Okay, in every open source project has its own contribution guideline, which may include coding standards, testing requirement, and submission procedures. It's important to follow these guidelines to ensure that your contribution are accepted and integrated smoothly into the project. Be respectful and professional. Remember that you are working with a team of developers from different background and expertise. Be respectful and professional in your interactions and avoid making personal attacks or derogatory comments. So then test your changes. Always test your changes thoroughly before submitting them to the project. This will help ensure that your changes are functional, reliable, and don't introduce new issues. Keep learning. Contributing to new open source projects is a great way to learn new skill and gain experience. Keep learning and improving your skills, and be open to feedback and suggestion from other contributors. So thank you everyone. This is the end of our session, and if you are having any doubt, just ask in the yeah. There are some problem like Hacktoberfest and Google Summer of Code. Yeah. So if anyone is having any query, I just post this website link in the comment section. So no, GDS is a club and hackathon is a different thing. Hackathon means that is a type of a competition. Like you have to make a software or anything. Okay, and GDS is club. Okay, these things are different. How we find where to contribute from huge code base in open source. Okay, so IG Khan there. Here, here you can this way you can make use of this website. So if you open like you are telling about the okay, so let me show you. Yeah, yeah, here just I am here Bitwarden and mobile and then issues and all issues are there. Okay, to work on. Okay, these are bugs. Okay, all issues are there. You can take any issue and start working on that. Okay, just click on any issue and then yeah, there is the issue is described here. Okay, okay,
Right. So thank you, Atanu. Um,
yeah.
before we close today, I would just like to take you through GitHub Actions. Are any of you familiar with what is GitHub Actions? You can write in the chat. Anyone? Yes, no? Okay. Okay. So I'll show you what basically that is, and I'll just give you a brief idea of how you can set up GitHub. Atanu, if you could just yeah, stop presenting, I'll just share my screen. Yes. So, how many of us here are into Android app development? In the chat, anyone? Okay, of course, Shortjo is our top tier Flutter developer. So, any questions you have regarding Android apps, or you can ask him. And moving on. So, for those of you who are into in case of Android apps, we have a file called build.git, which essentially builds the APK file with the name that we provide and other functionalities that we incorporate. So, what GitHub Actions essentially does is that it one actions is auto generates this APK instead of us having to generate that APK on our system by running the code, by running the heavy it creates this APK in GitHub's own virtual environment. Um, are are we familiar with virtual environments? You can interact, please, guys. You can write in the chat, ask questions in the Q&A, anything. Yes, so we are familiar with virtual environments. Good. So we have something that we call the GitHub virtual environment, wherein we can run and test our codes. That is essentially what GitHub Actions provides. So if you can see my screen, I am here in a repository, and I am in. Let me just show you the code part. This is the code section, and if I move over to the Actions tab, you will have a lot of workflows here. Each of these workflows is essentially a commit or a push into a separate branch that any contributor makes. So this is mine, and if we open it, we can find that the APK here is automatically generated. So instead of me having to, run the build.gradle file on my own system, I can run this build.gradle file on this virtual environment that GitHub sets up, and it will generate the APK automatically. You can see the build project command here. Um, yes. So it creates the APK from this build.gradle file. Yes, look at this. Let us look at the code for uh, these GitHub actions. In order to set up a GitHub Actions configuration in your repository, you need to have a file that we call a workflow file. So, what is essentially a workflow file? Um, so, in the root directory of the project, you got to create a .github folder. Inside of that folder, you have to you have to create another folder that we call workflows. And the workflow file will be created inside of that workflows folder. Let us look at what the workflow file is. This is a file with an extension of .yml. Anybody knows the full form of YML or YAML? Anybody in the chat box? Okay, where is this? Yes. Anybody in the chat box? What is the full form of YML or YAML? Okay, no one. So YML, yet another markup language. Yes, that is essentially right, and it is sort of a colloquial full form. It is also called, um, as a joke, YAML ain't a markup language. So yeah, so this is a file that you need to create, and inside of this file for triggering this workflow, let us look at each section of this code one by one. Any questions so far before I proceed with this code? Any questions so far? Anyone? Write in the chat, ask in the Q&A, maybe even DM me if possible. Okay, no questions. So I've added a comment here, which is called triggering this workflow. Um, when do we trigger the workflow? On push. So whenever I push some code into any of the branches, it triggers this workflow. If I were to trigger this workflow when a code is pushed into only the master or the main branch, I would write like this. Or if I wish to trigger this workflow when the code is pushed into the development branch, I would write like this. But I need the code to be pushed this workflow to be triggered whenever the code is pushed into any of the available. So I will write star, which indicates trigger this workflow on push into any branches available. Next, let us look at jobs that this workflow triggers. Um, so we write jobs. This is a very simple syntax. You can essentially learn it in a day. And so we will build, right? We are supposed to, since we are working on with Gradle files and we're developing Android apps, we have to build the APK. So I will write build, and I will specify what environment or what distribution I wish this workflow runs on, or what distribution I want uh, to use in order to trigger these operations. So I've used Ubuntu, and there are other available build environments also, but for the ease of explanation, I'll use Ubuntu latest. Um, Moving over to the steps, there are a number of steps that I'm executing here. This is specific to my repository. This doesn't have anything to do with the overall general picture. So, so I write steps, and it needs to have at least a use or a run command. So it may not have a name, though it's a GitHub best practice to incorporate a name, but it doesn't necessarily need a name. But it definitely needs a use and a run. So my first use or my first step would be to check out the repository. So I write actions, that is synonymous to GitHub actions, and then I check at version 3. This is not important at this moment, so you can leave this part out. And then I write the next step. That is my most essential step in this entire workflow. That is building the project. So this command is run, and this triggers the build talked about a little while earlier. If you see, the build.gradle file is supposed to be in the app directory. There's a directory called app, inside of which we have a build.gradle file. So this is the Gradle file that we run on our local systems in order to generate the APK. But using this work, we are essentially automating the building of this APK through this build.gradle file. So this, so as a conclusion, this command triggers the build.workflow file, build.gradle file. Then I need to name my APK in a fashion. This is a convention that we are following at my internship. So this has nothing to do again with the general sense. I'm running a few commands here. That is fetching the current date time. So I'm naming the command like fetch current date time, and I'm giving it a specific ID which with I can identify it later on in subsequent steps. So I'm giving it an ID, fetch underscore current underscore date time, and I'm running the command. So can anybody tell me what command is this, or does this look familiar to anybody? Uh, Anybody in the comments? Anybody? Any questions? Okay, nobody knows about this. Come on, you guys have seen this. Especially the second years should know what this is. Display date and time. What is this command essentially? Echo date time. What? Where do we write these commands? It's not batch. It's bash. It is a shell script or a code snippet from a shell script. So okay, moving on. Yeah, so I'm fetching the current date time here, and next up I'm fetching the current branch name. So even this I need to incorporate in my APK. So I'm fetching the current branch with this command. Uh, this is a specific GitHub command to fetch the branch that I'm working on. So it's github.headref or github.reference name. And then I'm passing it into a unique GitHub environment. What do I call it? A variable or a command that. So this is provides the output of this entire code that I'm running. These are comments. I'll explain the significance of this a little later. Then I'm fetching the version name once again, similarly in this fashion. And the way I fetch the version name is, if you can see a similarity, this is the Gradle file that we are accessing once again. So this get version name task that I wish to execute has been incorporated in the Gradle file already. If I go to the Gradle file and scroll right to the bottom, Uh, yep. So this is the task or a function, as you may call it. Get version name, and I'm fetching the version name from here. Project.gradle.projects evaluator essentially gets you into that particular directory where you can find the version name. So project.android, Android is this block of code where I need to specify my compile SDK version, my build tools version, and then we have default config, which is again the setting up the default configurations. That is the application ID, that is the target SDK version, that is the version code, the version name. And from this default config, we are fetching the version name here. If you can see, yeah. So this is the code so far, and all of this that I've fetched so far, I need to incorporate in my APK name. So how do I incorporate that in my APK name? I'm just gonna echo it out once again and incorporate all these commands that I have executed so far into my APK name like this. Steps is what I'm accessing from here, and fetch version name is my job ID, and version name is the variable that I generate whilst I run the code. So these are the code components, and then then I'm okay, and then I'm renaming the APK. When I run the build.gradle file, I am automatically creating an APK here. If you see, with a specific file name. So what is my APK name? That is my project name. That is here in this case is RoboTutor. Dot build type here will be debug. Uh, Here will be debug, and then we head over to the version. So version is something which would be changing, as you know, here according to the variant. And then we have this APK. So we have robotutor dot debug dot version name dot APK. So this is the default APK name that build.gradle creates. I wish to rename it in the fashion that I've fetched here. So what will I write? I'll write mv, which is the command to rename the, which is the bash command to rename a particular file. I'll specify the location here. Build here comes from the default location that build.gradle stores the build file. So if you look here, this is where the build comes from. And then we write the default file name, that is robotutor.debug.version name. And then I rename I want. So I've fetched this APK, new APK name that I already want to set up at this previous step. And I'm just writing it out here with the .apk extension. And finally, I have to upload the artifact, upload the APK into the repository or into my branch. So I will do it in this way. Once again, actions and upload artifact is my specific command at version 3 to upload the artifact. Um, with the with the name that I've specified so far, that is APK name, and the build location here. So all of this I've explained before. Now let's look at any questions so far. Once again. Okay, so Shaurya asks, can anybody run a workflow? Suppose I'm contributing to a repository of a organization which I'm not part of. Yes, as far as I know, you need to be part of an organization to trigger a particular workflow. If that repository is a part of an organization, if it's owned by an individual, then you can just, and if it's open source, you can essentially uh, just clone the repository and create the YML file here. So yeah, moving on. Let me show you the repository here that I'm creating the moment I push the code. Yeah. So if I head over to actions, Um, and if I believe I've shown this to you, but still, yeah. So this is my APK name as we wanted it to be. So this is my yeah. Where is my APK version? Yes. So this is the name that uh this is the new name of the APK. That is RoboTutor 2020 hyphen branch name. So RoboTutor 2020 hyphen branch name. Development is the branch name here. And then we have the version name here. So version here is 3.5.0.1. And then we have the current date time, that is here. So this is 2023, 18th of March, that is yesterday. And this is the time. So this is 19 hours, that is 7 in the evening, 53 minutes and 56 seconds. And I believe this is the nanosecond date time. Yes. So this is the nanosecond. So yeah, this is 66 MB. So you can download it and run it on your own emulator or virtual device or physical device, whatever you may call it. So this is okay. So RoboHero app is a project that I'm doing at my internship. So is essentially an application that helps students in marginalized areas, get basic education, and that's the entire point of the RoboHero application. Right. So any questions other than that? Anybody else? Okay, I believe that's it. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for joining. Thank you, Atanu, for being such a great presenter. And I guess we'll see you around. Bye bye.